There's a weather event coming our way, one so powerful it can cause famines on different continents at the exact same time, and it's on its way back. But this time, it's been supercharged by climate change, and it is on track to make 2026 India's hottest year in recorded history. Okay, let's get into it.
To really understand what's coming, we have to look back. The year is 1877. In what was then the Madras Presidency in British India, a horrific famine is raging. The streets are lined with corpses. Nearly 20 million people die. But here's the crazy part. This wasn't just happening in India. At the exact same time, a famine in China killed up to 30 million people. Brazil lost another 2 million. This was a coordinated planet-wide disaster.
So what on earth could cause that kind of synchronized chaos? It wasn't a war, it wasn't an earthquake. The real cause was a natural weather pattern, something that started thousands of kilometers away in a little patch of the Pacific Ocean. And the really terrifying part? A super version of that same event is coming back.
To get a handle on the threat we're facing in 2026, we first need to understand the science behind what happened back in 1877. And that brings us to a term you've probably heard a million times, El Niño.
You know, Peruvian fishermen back in the 17th century called it El Niño, which means the little boy. But trust me, there is nothing small about its impact. To put it simply, El Niño is what happens when a huge patch of the eastern Pacific Ocean gets way warmer than usual. When you have trillions of liters of water heating up all at once, they unleash so much energy into the atmosphere that it completely rewires weather patterns across the whole globe.
Okay, so check this out. This slide really breaks down how it works. In a normal year, you've got these strong winds, called trade winds, blowing warm water west, towards Asia and Australia. That's what brings them their rain. But during an El Niño year, those winds just get lazy. They weaken. That pile of warm water sloshes back to the east, and all the rain patterns get scrambled, pulling moisture away from South and Southeast Asia, and often causing terrible droughts in places like India.
Right, so you might be thinking, El Niño's been happening for thousands of years. What's the big deal now? Well, that's a fair question. The problem is, today, there's a new man-made ingredient in the mix, and it changes everything.
So here's the thing. The starting line has shifted. Thanks to climate change, our entire planet is already running about 1.4 degrees Celsius hotter than it used to be. We're already living in a warmer world before El Niño even shows up.
And this is where the math gets really, really scary. When a super El Niño event comes along and dumps its own heat on top of that, another 1.5 degrees or so, you get a total temperature spike of nearly 3 degrees Celsius. That is a level of heat our planet has literally never seen in all of human history.
I love this quote from the source material because it just puts it so perfectly. We are already sitting in a room that's 40 degrees. That's climate change. A super El Niño is like someone walking into that already hot room and switching on a space heater right next to your face. It's that double whammy that we're up against.
Okay, so what does this unprecedented global heat actually mean for people on the ground in India? Well, it's not just one problem. It's more like a cascading crisis that hits in 4 distinct but very connected layers.
First, you get a weaker monsoon. The prediction is just 92% of normal, which is a massive shortfall. That, of course, leads directly to the second layer. Farmers are in trouble. Over half of India's farms, that's 51%, rely completely on those monsoon rains. Third, there's the raw heat itself. Forecasts say 2026 will smash all previous heat records. And finally, all of this combines into the fourth layer, an economic shockwave. When food isn't grown, prices go up, and that hurts every single one of us.
You'd think a natural disaster supercharged by climate change would be bad enough, right? But its deadliest effects are often made so much worse by a third factor, a policy of neglect.
You know, we're always obsessed with those record daytime temperatures. But the real sneaky killer in a heat wave, it's the night. Your body desperately needs that time to cool down, to recover. But look at the data from Delhi in 2024. Nighttime temperatures went up by a shocking 4.4 degrees. When the night gives you no break, especially in a concrete city, the risk of deadly heat stroke just skyrockets. And who feels this the most? We're talking about 38 crore people. That's 380 million informal workers across India. The rickshaw pullers, the construction workers, the people selling food on the street. They don't have paid sick leave or insurance. For them, a heat wave isn't just uncomfortable. It's a direct threat to their life and their family's income. Now, this is where it gets absolutely wild.
Look at the official numbers for heatwave deaths. You've got one government agency, the NCRB, saying over 20,000 deaths in 20 years. Another one, the IMD, says it's about half that. But when scientists do a detailed analysis, the real estimate is closer to 1.5 lakh deaths every single year. The official numbers aren't just a little off, they're in a completely different reality.
Which brings us to this huge, glaring question. India has 12 officially recognized natural disasters. They even include cold waves. So how is it possible that in one of the hottest countries on the planet, a deadly heat wave isn't on that list?
The answer, according to the sources, is brutally simple. It's about money. If heat waves were declared a notified disaster, the government would be legally required to pay 4 lakh rupees in compensation for every single confirmed death. And the government has said it has no plans to do that.
So, if official policy seems like a dead end, is there a simple, cheap solution that we're missing? Oh, absolutely. But this is where we run into a really mind-boggling paradox.
The solution is trees. It's that simple. A massive analysis of over 1,000 studies confirmed it. A good, healthy tree canopy can cool the air at street level by as much as 12 degrees Celsius. Just think about that for a second. That turns a deadly 47-degree day into a much more survivable 35 degrees. It's a natural air conditioner, and it's incredibly effective.
So you'd think we'd be protecting these trees like our lives depended on it, right? Well, this chart tells a very different and pretty shocking story. Between 2015 and 2019, for every single square kilometer of new trees planted, an incredible 18 square kilometers of old, mature forest were destroyed. We are literally chopping down our best defense against the heat at a staggering rate. Look, I know this all sounds pretty bleak, but it's not hopeless. The story doesn't have to end with these big policy failures. The sources we looked at also point to what we, as regular people, can actually do to fight back from the ground up.
Okay, let's get practical. Here are 3 simple steps. First, save the trees we already have. Seriously, protecting one big old tree does way more good than planting a whole bunch of tiny saplings. Second, help people who are vulnerable. Just offering a cold bottle of water to a delivery person or a security guard can make a huge difference. And third, if you can, think about switching to solar. Putting even a few panels on your roof helps us rely less on the coal plants that are fueling this whole problem.
And this is why all of this matters so much. This isn't just about getting through the next few years. It's about what comes next. As one of the sources put it, for a child who is born in 2026, the idea of a normal 35-degree summer, that's going to sound like a fairy tale. Their normal will be a scorching 45 degrees, and they will never know anything different.
And that really leaves us with the final question, doesn't it? This isn't just about how we survive the next heat wave. It's about what we are deciding to pass on. What are we going to leave behind as a normal summer?